welcome back. Lone T Golf. My name is Sam. I have a little bit of a sit-down chat today rather than kind of an actual gameplay or anything like that. This is just the driver fitting. Going to be talking about that. So I've got my current driver with me here. I'll try and get that to focus here. I'm not sure. It didn't work last time I tried it. Still new at this stuff. But we have the Cobra LTDx LS. It's a 10.5 degree driver. When I was hitting it in the fitting, I'm hitting it upright 1 degree. I feel like it looks a little bit better. It's in the 1 degree draw setting. My miss is still left, as you guys know from the previous videos. Sorry about the dogs in the background. My miss is left, but I do occasionally bring back the good old slice. So I have some numbers from this one. I'm just gonna grab my tablet here to pull up the numbers, but they're gonna be on screen for you. So the fitting, as I'm loading these up, the fittings was through Golftown. They have a Studio X is what it's called. So it's a little more premium. It's in a separate room. It's kind of an interesting experience. So I guess before we get into the numbers, I'll run you through that. So I went in for my appointment, walked in through the back, through the store, went to the Studio X area. There's free refreshments and snacks and everything for when you're there. The fitter took me and we went to the hitting bay, and we just, I warmed up for a bit. So to get the accurate numbers, I was warming up. He was just kind of figuring out what kind of things I'm looking for, where my misses are, what kind of tendencies I see with my driver, anything like that. I guess what are my goals with the club? Do I want it to be like, am I going for long drive? Am I going for like just trying to hit the fairways? What am I looking for? So we had a quick chat about that, and then he started firing off some different club combinations. As you'll see, we kind of we got to the club we were looking for pretty quick, and then it was mostly just messing around trying to find the best shaft to fit in. So before we get into the club that we ended up finishing on, looking at the numbers here. So the LTDx driver, looks like the average club speed was 115, which is about where I was sitting. Again, that's like, it's a little higher than you'll see than the last club, because I was right at the beginning of the swinging, so you got a little more, and the adrenaline from hitting and that kind of stuff. Ball speed was at 161, I'll round up there. Launch angle 15.5. Average spin rate was 3,000, and that was something that I brought up. I was like, my spin rate is way too high. I want to get it down because I feel like when it hits the wind, it just balloons. It also causes a lot of those crazy hooks and everything. So peak height was 124, so no issue there. Was carrying, sorry, it just screwed up here. Was carrying 269, rolling out to 290 on the sim that we had. Angle of attack was up 5.7, so no issue there. But the craziest part about this one was the dispersion. So if I pull up the dispersion here, we're looking at, I think it was about 150 yards of dispersion in total. Yeah, the largest miss was over 60 yards to the right, and the largest miss to the left was over 60 yards as well. So we're looking at 120 to 150 yards of dispersion. So not very often, unless you're playing like some super links courses, does 150 yards of dispersion end you on the fairway. It does end you on the fairways on either side though. So that was one of the big things that we were looking at. I wouldn't mind losing a little bit of distance to be able to hit the fairways more often, because I feel like I can, throughout this journey that we're documenting, I can definitely work on increasing that kind of stuff. But if we've got a club that I feel like I can find the center of the face, we're good to go. So that's where we started with it. One thing he did tell me is he said, for somebody like myself that's in the position where I'm still learning the game, I'm still practicing, trying to find the center of the club face more often, that kind of stuff. He said the club that I chose is probably one of the worst, because if you don't hit the center of this face, well, it's called an LS. If you don't hit the center of the face, it does generate a lot more spin, as we see. So if I'm hitting the ball low or anywhere but the center, like it's not very forgiving. So that was one of the big things that he pointed out right off the bat. So we tried, pretty quickly, he decided to go to Cobra again. There wasn't really any other option in the middle. He wasn't going to go LS again because of the issue. Didn't see the need to go max. So we just went with the standard DS Adapt. And I'll check a picture of that up now, just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Super nice looking club. It's the newest model, so it's they had the dark speed. Cobra had the dark speed for 2024. For 2025, they have the dark speed Adapt. The newest thing with the Adapt is they have a crazy, I don't even know the word for it. It's the sleeve, I think it is. So on the top where it connects, the shaft connects to the head, you can position it in many different lie angles, loft angles, that kind of stuff. So it's a little intense, but there is a full fitting chart and stuff for all of that. So looking at the numbers here, we kind of went back and forth, and I only have the numbers for the final club here, but we're looking at different shafts. I mentioned that I liked this one so far, which is, it's a hazardous blue. I think he's got the specs for it here. No, not on there. So it's a hazardous blue, RDX smoke. It's in extra stiff. It's a 60-gram shaft with a super stroke grip on it. This is the one that I picked up. My other one broke, so I just picked up this shaft to have something. So I've still been trying to hit this one, but there has been a couple times where I find the slot and I feel like I can release it pretty strong throughout impact without putting a ton of effort into it. So those are kind of things that I mentioned. The previous shaft I had was a Mitsubishi, but it was like a 75 gram, I think, and it felt like a little too stiff for me, and so that's what I mentioned to him. So we tried out a few different ones, and then we ended up settling on the Project X Denali Blue. It's the 60 gram in extra stiff. This one felt different. It was interesting because I wasn't sure how much the shaft could make a difference. So I'm sitting there, I'm swinging a few of these, and I'm seeing the same kind of thing. And then he put this one in my hand, and I just did a little waggle with the club, and you could feel that the weight was in a different spot. First shot I hit with this one was a tiny little draw, carried 291, and it just felt perfect. So it was kind of an interesting click when he did that, and he said, I think we found the one. And then he messed around with a few other things, and we ended up right back in the same. So where we ended up finishing was with the 9-degree head of the dark speed Adapt, which is interesting because down from a 10.5, that was something that I thought we would end up with. With the Project X Denali Blue in extra stiff, lie and length were standard. I asked about changing the length and stuff, and he figured on the tour right now it's actually shorter than standard is the average. So he said for the driver we generally stay the same. He said for irons, if I do end up getting fit, which I probably want to, it's going to be an extended shaft for those, but for driver he said just standard's fine. And then a mid-size grip I mentioned that I was looking at something I wanted a little more tacky, because I do get sweaty hands and I don't want to like lose the center of the face because the club's slipping or anything like that. He ended up putting 10 grams of weight in the front and 3 grams in the back, and that's a big difference about the dark speed, just the regular model versus the LS. The LS, all the weight in my club is at the front of the club, so there's nothing I can do. Let me see if I can again get this into focus. There's nothing I can do in terms of changing the weight to the back of the club. It's all right up in the front here, so I can't, there's not a ton of adjustability, which isn't great, but so he's able to fit that. And then if we run through the numbers of the adapt, and keep in mind this is probably after I want to say like 30 swings kind of thing, so the club speed did drop a little bit, but we're only down to 113. Ball speed dropped to 156.3, so relation was pretty darn close there, so we're able to produce the same ball speed. Launch angle is exactly the same, but the spin rate came down to 2,400 on average, and that includes some miss hits, because I'm not Bryson DeChambeau. I can't hit the center of the face every single time, and he doesn't either, but when he misses, at least it goes really far. Peak height came down a little bit to 119.7, which is just probably that backspin dropping, so it doesn't balloon as much. So we went from a 269 carry up to a 272.8 average carry, and then rolled out an extra 7 yards over this club. Angle of attack was at 6, so about the same. But the biggest number, if you look at dispersion, furthest left I hit was 60 yards, furthest right I hit was just under 30 yards. So the dispersion dropped like crazy. His biggest thing that he was trying is getting rid of the two-way miss, because if you can get rid of the two-way miss, I can aim a little more right, and then if I do have a 60-yard miss to the left, at least I can account for it. So that was one of the biggest things there. Overall, hitting the club felt super nice. I tried to ramp it up a little bit and see, but it was at the end of the session, so I wasn't able to really get any numbers out of it, but I do think it is something that I can hit more comfortably, because I'm kind of nervous hitting driver right now because I don't know where it's going to go. I have no idea. Like with the dispersion and stuff, it makes it very tough. I have no idea where it's going, so it makes it, I'd rather just pull out a 4-iron, bunt a 4-iron out 200 yards, and then play in from there. So if I can put this club back in the bag, that would be huge. All in all, fitting process, super enjoyable. I think I would have liked to try out more heads to see, but if we found something that was able to do what I was looking to do that quick, if we were able to dial in the shaft a little more, which is definitely, I think, more beneficial than messing around with all the different heads. It was only an hour-long fitting, so we didn't have a ton of time to screw around with a bunch of it, so it was kind of either head or shaft, and I think shaft was more beneficial. That being said, I have not ordered this club yet. So this club came to, after taxes, $867.83. I don't know whether I think the club is going to be worth that much money compared to looking at, say, getting my irons, the shafts extended on my irons, or maybe just spending that money on some lessons to help find the face, and just playing less driver only on holes that's wide open, or just working on driver trying to hit the center of the face, because if I do hit the center of the face with this club, I can get it to drop the spin and go really far and that kind of stuff. So if I can work on that stuff, and I think that's going to be the plan for now. I have the information So I'm also going to keep an eye on the used market just to see if anything pops up. Maybe I'll grab that, because it's a pretty standard, like it's standard lie, 9-degree head. It's the standard head in Adapt X, so it's not something that's crazy out there. We didn't have to do anything crazy. The only thing I might have to do is just order some weights if I do find it. And then the Project X Denali Blue that's a pretty common shaft as well. It's not like a crazy out there shaft. So while I'm going to be just working on my game, I will be also keeping an eye on like the used marketplace or anything like that to see if there's anything that pops up. I was looking at trading in this club towards it, but they were going to give me, I think it was 200. I don't know if it's going to tell me on here. It was like 200 or something like that for the club. But I could probably get 3 if I was to sell it. So again, looking at those different things, trying to figure out what the best route is. But I think all in all, it was a super interesting experience. Learned a bunch about why certain things happen. Kind of opened my eye to the different, how a shaft affects the shot. Got some reinforcement that it's probably, my swing isn't as bad as I thought it was with the driver. It's more of the club not helping me, that kind of stuff. So I would definitely recommend getting out there, getting fit. I was always kind of trying to fight between whether I go lesson and then, or fitting, or if I have to become good before I get fit. The guy before me, he was telling me a bit of a story. So the guy that was fit right before me actually got told by his coach that he needed to get fit because he was playing pro level gear but wasn't striking the ball like a pro, so it was causing issues. And I think I was along the same line where I'm not striking the ball at the center every single time, so it's causing issues because I'm trying to play gear that's required, that needs you to hit that. So I need to be a more forgiving gear, as did the guy before me. So definitely a good option. There's different deals, keep an eye out. I know Club Champion is a super popular one, and I think I saw that they're doing $100 for an entire bag fitting, so you can spend a day just getting your whole bag fit. And there's no pressure to buy at that time, at least with the Studio X. They do end up waiving the fitting fee if you buy at that time, so you save some money on the club, but you can also just not worry about it, and you pay the $100. You get the information. I have all the information emailed to me, so I can use it whenever I want, and kind of have something that I can strive towards getting or save up for or anything like that. So yeah, all in all, good experience. It gives me some insight. I'm excited to get out to the range a bit. We're starting to get some beautiful days, so the range is going to be opening very soon, and see where we're at, see if I can dial in some comfortable swings. I think that's going to be my goal, is kind of slow down a little, practice just good contact rather than trying to hit the ball super far, just so I can start to drop those scores, because I think I've trained quite a bit, so I can afford to lose some of the speed, even if I drop down to 107, 108, but I'm hitting it more square. I think that's going to be my target for the first little bit of the year. So yeah, have you ever been fit? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you got an extra dark speed or dark speed adapt 9-degree standard head that you're not using and you'd be looking to sell it? Let me know that as well. But that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you click a like if you did enjoy the video. Click subscribe. Maybe check out the part 3 course if you didn't see that one. There's lots of dinosaurs involved, which is kind of fun. And the holes are kind of all funky and all over the place. So until next Sunday, my name is Sam. This has been Lone T Golf, and we'll catch you in another video soon. Bye-bye.